Welcome to the Filmistines, the podcast where we discuss all things movies. Join us as we dive deep into the latest releases, revisit classic films, and explore the art of cinema. Whether you're a film fanatic or just love a good flick, we've got you covered. From Hollywood blockbusters to indie gems, we'll be breaking down the storytelling, cinematography, and everything in between. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready for some cinematic magic. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $20 tier grants the ability to request films for future episodes. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience. Alrighty then, welcome back to the Filmistines. This is our new favorite series to produce. What's the title of it?
I haven't come up with a title
We
yet.
haven't come up with a title yet.
I haven't.
Working title is...
Books versus movie.
Books versus movies.
Which one
ding,
is
ding,
better?
Ding. Speaking of versus, the WWE and UFC just merged.
Oh.
Yeah, big deal.
What does that mean as far as, like, fans go? I mean, don't you just...
Man, well, it pushes Triple H out a little bit. He's been a big deal in the last 10 years of what happens on the show, WWE. And so he loses some of his power in that. And so I don't know how, because I don't, some people might say the Attitude Era, was the height. Remember I was telling you about that?
Yeah.
The Attitude Era might have been the height of WWE as far as icons and big personalities coming out of the show. But money-wise, I don't think WWE has been nearly as big as it is right now.
Okay.
It's massive. And then, a couple... I guess it's probably been 10 years. They released their streaming platform called WWE Universe or something like that.
They have a streaming platform?
Dedicated streaming platform, which makes sense. They have 3 shows come out every single week.
Holy crap.
They have pay-per-views every single month. They have 40 years of pay-per-view history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so natural. If that would have come out 10 or 20 years ago, I would have been all over that. But instead I was looking up all the clips from old matches on YouTube and stuff. But today we have a very interesting movie cross book to recover in our working title Book versus Movie podcast.
Dun dun dun.
And I'm joined today by Grafton Luce. Is that guy's name?
Graf?
Just Graf. This is Graf Lucy. Okay.
No, I am not Graf.
What are we covering today?
So today we are talking about Ender's Game.
Boo.
No boo.
Well, the movie, boo.
Yeah, movie, boo. Extra boo.
This movie.
With some boo on top. So let me start off by saying that this is one of my all-time favorite books ever. I read this book, I guess it was the summer before we went to high school, so... maybe 2010, 2009, whenever that was.
When was it published?
The book was published in 1985.
Oh.
Yeah. So it originally started out as a short story kind of novel. Well, I guess a novel is a book, right? So it was more of a short story published in a science fiction magazine. So Orson Scott Card, the author, he basically needed some money, and he had this like tiny idea of what Ender's Game could possibly be. So he wrote a short story and submitted it just to get money, and it got a lot of attention, and people were like, "Hey, this is actually pretty good." So he's like, "All right, I'm gonna make a book." So he made a book. Did
a publisher come to him to write it, or did?
No, he had to kind of find one.
Okay,
yeah.
So let's say that would have been.
So crazy. The short story was published in 1977. Then the book was written in 1985.
Okay.
So he almost had like 10 years to think about what.
Shortly after Lord of the Rings.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think that's 67 or something. Lord of the Rings.
I have no idea. No idea about Lord of the Rings.
Not as old as you think. Lord of the Rings feels way older than the mid-1900s.
At least.
Yeah.
So, again, I read this book in, summer before high school. It was actually a requirement for our class And in ninth grade, I was going into the gifted program, the gifted English
Oh,
program.
good for you.
So our requirement for that year was to read that book, which I don't know how many people actually read that book in that summer. It was pretty cool, especially like, you know, the movie coming out so shortly after me discovering that book. So that was kind of cool to experience. There have only been a few books that I have read, and then a couple years later it's like, here's the movie, and it's like, wow, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I read that book, I fell in love with it. I probably reread it. I don't know if I reread it as often as I reread Harry Potter, but it's probably my second most reread book. So let's see.
First of all, did you see the movie when it first came out?
Yes, I went to the movie theater to see the movie, and it was me and a couple of friends, and we went. It was, you know, those same friends from that gifted English class, so we had all read it. We could all kind of relate, and we were counting down for this movie. So
That's crazy.
it was hyped. It was
That's
hyped for
crazy.
us.
Yeah, I've never had that experience.
One of the biggest letdowns of my life. It was awful. It was so awful. I have never experienced thinking how awful a movie could do, like, no justice. It was no justice to the book, absolutely whatsoever, and it was a big letdown. So yeah, they shouldn't have even made this movie if they weren't gonna do it right.
No, they shouldn't have made this movie.
This movie is. Don't see it. Don't bother seeing it.
It does not justify its existence. It really doesn't.
If you're an Ender's Game fan of the book, don't.
Movie making perspective, it's just it's rough. It's rough. And my mom likes this movie. She likes the concept, I should say, which is okay. Okay, you know.
You need to sit her down and ask her a couple of questions about what she likes about the movie, because the concept. What concept?
She likes the end.
Oh my god.
She likes the tricking the kids into playing a simulation, and it's actually, you know, murdering this whole species. She liked that. I'm like, okay. I mean, it's fun.
I mean, it is fun, and it's not portrayed correctly, like how you're supposed to feel. So Orson Scott Card was influenced in writing this book by his brother, who was in the military, and he would talk to his brother and ask him about military stuff, and his brother would just kind of like talk about the kind of humiliation and loneliness that a lot of soldiers experienced. So he kind of took, you know, some pieces of that into the book, and he was also really fascinated with war and history, which we get. We get the war that we're, you know, the humans are fighting these, you know, the Formics, the ant-like buggered people, but there's so many other wars happening in the book that we don't see in the movie, and kind of references to those wars that, you know, are going on around the time the book was written. And he was just really fascinated with history too, and like with the history idea, he kind of took it a step further and went into the science fiction realm about what our future looks like, and then mixed in like the military aspect of it. So he came up with battling in the future.
Yeah, I think Lord of the Rings is also inspired by war. World War II.
What isn't inspired by war?
I know, right? Even power tools were inspired by war.
So his like first idea, I guess, to bring this book to life was the battle room. He kind of built everything around the battle room and the idea of orientation, and how in space, if you're fighting in space, you know, that could be completely different because of gravity or the lack of gravity. And that's when he came up with, you know, the enemy's gate is down. So that's a big line in the book. You know, it's a big concept that I guess Ender magically discovers, or he's like the first one to say it out loud, and that's what kind of makes him like this bright kid, that he's like, you know, not thinking about orientation in space like these other kids are. Which, I don't know, I guess kind of saying it out loud and then putting that into the movie kind of makes it weird. Okay, we get it. Enemy's gate is down. There's no orientation. All right, we get it. Move on. But I feel like they kind of overkill it in the movie.
Is that what they're doing in those the games that they're playing? Trying to master maneuverability?
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what they're trying to do. The battle rooms are supposed to...
The battle rooms. That's what they call those?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do they not mention that in the movie?
I don't remember.
They don't even call it the battle room?
I'm not sure.
I think they briefly say it. So yeah, the battle room is supposed to be like a practice of battling in space. So you have, you know, no gravity. You have this suit on you. You don't know, you know, what your enemy is going to launch at you. So you have all these little obstacles. You know, and we do see a little bit of them moving those obstacles. They call them stars in the book. So those little stars.
The things in the battle
blocks,
room? The blocks? Oh, okay.
Whatever. Kind of maneuvering those around and basically fighting the other kids while maneuvering around those things, while also thinking about your orientation and where you're supposed to be. So that's like Ender saying the enemy's gate is down.
Does he say that in the movie?
No. Which pisses me off. He doesn't say that in the movie. I think Bean says it in the movie. I think Bean says, remember, the enemy's gate is down. And I'm like, what? No, that's like Ender's like infamous line. He comes up with that. He's the smart kid, not you, Bean, which Bean's also really smart. But you don't know that reading the book or watching the movie. You know that through the rest of the series, because Ender's Game is I don't know how many books it includes. I want to say 11, but that's just off the top of my head.
Are they all as big as... Well, I mean, not that... Ender's Game's not really that big, but are they all that size or kind of standard?
Yeah, they're all
size?
about this size.
Wow.
How many pages?
Have you read them all?
323 pages. Have I read them all? No.
Are they all good, the ones you've read?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, there's some really good ones, and there's some...
What's his name? Orson Scott Card?
Yeah.
Does he do them all?
Yeah, he does all of them.
Oh, he wrote all of them?
Yeah. So it's a big series. It's the Ender Saga, you know. So, I mean...
Did he have a hard time taking it in certain places? Was it just kind of...
He did, actually. So, he has this other book called, and don't quote me on this, I think it's Speaker of the Dead. And Speaker of the Dead... Is it Speaker of the Dead? I'll have to look that up. But it's basically Bean's perspective. It's like Ender's Game, but Bean's perspective. So how Bean came to be, which is actually probably my favorite one, and I don't even remember the name of it. But you get a lot of how you view Ender, like how we're supposed to view Ender. Ender's Game is more on like how Ender sees himself and how he feels, and then
the book is.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. Yeah.
The book. Yeah. Does that even come off in the movie? Like, can you even feel that Ender is supposed to be this smart, caring, quiet kid, but confident and like, I mean, genius level kid? No, that kid looks like a dumbass. Like, could you have gotten a worse kid?
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is. I've seen him in something else, but his performance, which may not be totally his fault, it might be part of Gavin Hood's, Gavin Hood might be part to blame, but oh my god, dude, that kid was...
His name is...
terrible. His performance was terrible. Harrison Ford gives pretty terrible performances.
Asa Butterfield?
But man... So
he was in The Boy in Striped Pajamas, which I don't know which boy he was. I don't know if you saw that movie.
Huh. Yeah, that's a...
World War II movie.
They made us watch that in school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's one of the few ones that I watched the movie and not read the book. I would love to read the book. I don't know.
2008 film. His name's Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno. He's the kid.
Asa Butterfield. Yes, he was.
He's also in like
Man.
Miss Peregrine, whatever her name is.
Oh yeah, we watched that recently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's another shitty movie.
Yeah, he was in that.
But I can at least give the blame to Tim Burton there.
So I mean, first of all, Ender in the book, when the book first starts, he's 5 years old.
Wow.
So you're supposed to get a feel of how smart this kid is at 5 years old. Everything he's doing in the movie, he's not doing as a however old this kid is, 13-year-old, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's doing as a 5-year-old.
So what the Ender in the movie is supposed to be a 5-year-old.
He by the time he gets recruited and taken up into the battle schools, he's 5. Then he gets promoted to be the commander of Dragon Army at 6. And then he has a short leave. Remember when they're in the river and he's talking to Valentine, his sister?
Yeah.
I think he goes back to command school, and I mean, he's still really young. I mean, he doesn't even go over like 11 in that whole amount of time. So
It sounds like this movie was kind of destined to fail. It sounds like it should have been a show to begin with.
And actually, Orson Scott Card said that. He said in some interview, I didn't read the whole interview, but he said that it would have came across better if it would have gotten some Game of Thrones treatment, like some kind of series, something like that.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yes, which I definitely agree. I mean,
Or at
casting a 5-year-old, I'm sure is hard.
Would have been tough, yes.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, casting children just in general, I don't know, under the age of 20 maybe. You don't get a lot of great performances out of people who are that young.
So now you got to find a 5-year-old, and that's supposed to come off across as a genius.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get it's hard. And so the book was written in 1985, and the movie didn't come out until what, 2013?
Yeah, let's see. I think I have it up right here. The film came out in 2013.
Yeah. So a large part of that, because originally when it came out, they were already talking to him about making it a movie. The problem was he wanted a child actor. He didn't want Ender to be older than 12 years old. He said that would kind of ruin what he's trying to say. And a lot of, I don't know what you call them, companies, whatever, they wanted to make Ender a teenager. They wanted to make him 17. And I get that from a film perspective. You can't, it's hard to work with kids. I get it.
Yeah, and they didn't have the foresight to think this was going to go anywhere, obviously. So they couldn't put their eggs in that kind of basket. That would have been a lot of trust with them. Yeah,
for sure. But I know during one of the interviews and the audiobook, actually, I listened to the audiobook in the free library. You know that app, Libby? I think that's what it is now. So you can put your library card in there, and I listened to the audiobook for free. And at the end of the audiobook, there's an interview, and he does this interview.
Don't your taxes pay for that?
My taxes?
Yeah.
My taxes better pay for something. Jesus. They take libraries out so much. So I paid it.
You paid for it. That's what I'm saying.
But there's an interview at the end of the audiobook, and he talks a little bit about how he was so excited that it was going to be a movie, but he had these like restrictions. He didn't want Ender to be a teenager, which makes sense. He didn't want Ender to have a love interest, which also makes sense. There's no love in this book. There's not that kind of romantic love anyway. Yeah. Like that's the least.
Yeah, it's not a very sci-fi thing either.
Yeah, exactly.
The desexualization, genderization is kind of a hallmark of sci-fi.
Yeah, I completely agree. And they wanted to give Ender a love interest, which I think they kind of did in the movie.
They sort of compromised because they made him a young teenager, 13, maybe 14,
Yeah,
I don't know. I would say 13.
Yeah.
And then Petra's sort of this love interest, like not straight up, but she's kind of present, and she's kind of his rock on one level, and so they kind of compromise. That's interesting that those were his concessions, and they're like,
yeah.
we'll
So
see.
he was having a very hard time finding somebody to to make this movie exactly how he wanted it.
To accept the
terms.
Screenplay.
Yeah.
The submitted screenplay. Yeah, see here, he wanted the Game of Thrones guys to do it.
Oh, okay.
He wanted D&D to do it.
That.
And
yeah.
That was in 2003.
Wow.
2003,
yeah, I know. I think in 1991, that's when Movie Talk.
Wow, he was trying
started.
to get this going for a while.
Yeah, he was.
Wow.
But nobody, like I said, nobody wanted to do that. They didn't want to work with they didn't want to meet his conditions. Yeah. He said, like, he was like, companies would say, like, okay, we agree. And then he would get the contract and he would read the contract. And in the contract, it would say, like, we won't hire blah, 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 unless deemed otherwise. Like, unless other creative choices are made by blah, blah, blah. So he's like, well, no, that just means you're not going to do it. Like, so he was having a really hard time finding someone who was going to do it and that he trusted to actually do that. So I know that I honestly, who did he even end up going with?
His name's Gavin Hood.
Okay.
He's I don't mean any disrespect, but he's a hack director.
But here's a disrespectful thing.
He's directed a handful of dogs and
anything I've seen.
Maybe X-Men Origins, the Wolverine movie.
Okay.
The Storekeeper, A Reasonable Man, and Desert and Wilderness. Sotzi, Rendition, Eye in the Sky, Official Secrets. That's it.
Yeah, I just wonder what happened there, because in that interview he said, if these conditions are not going to be met, I don't want this to be a movie. I refuse.
They must have cut him a pretty good paycheck for him to be like, okay.
All right. He could be a little older.
Yeah. And
okay, we won't make Petra kiss him, but she'll hold his hand. Okay, deal.
Yeah, Gavin Hood became... So it says here, Card announced in February 2009 that he had completed a script for Odd Lot Entertainment, production house. In September 2010, it was announced that Gavin Hood was attached to the project, serving as both screenwriter and director. And that's our first red flag. Terrible director, terrible director. I don't know if he's terrible director, but not someone Card was looking for, right? But he was signed on as the screenwriter too. I feel like.
Did he even read the book?
Did he even read the book? That's a good
Jesus.
question. I think 9 times out of 10 these directors do not read their books.
Why? So they don't have the creativity restraints? I don't know.
You never know. Card said he had written about 6 different scripts before Hood took over.
Yeah. So in that interview I'm talking about, he Orson Scott Card had a hard time writing the screenplay.
Of course, he's a novelist.
Well, he actually was hold up.
He has some TV movie writing credentials?
Playwrights,
yeah, okay.
Yeah. So he went to school for archaeology?
He went to school for archaeology?
And found it so boring.
What? Archaeology is dope.
He said he's like, that's so boring. So he went to do plays and did playwrights. And
wow.
Occasionally dabbled in writing.
Interesting little trifecta of media.
So he was going to write the screenplay, and he had a very, very hard time trying to capture Ender's thoughts on, however you say that, on a movie?
On camera?
On camera, yeah. And one of his friend's wife or somebody gave him the idea to write it in Bean's perspective. She was like, well, take that, the other book I mentioned, where you write it in Bean's perspective, and then just kind of make the audience Bean and let us see Ender through Bean's eyes. And he was like, okay, I can work with that. So he thought that was a much better way to approach this thing. But I guess it all...
Yeah, that may have been a bad move on his part because that may have started to confuse
Yeah.
producers and stuff. So it says here, Card stated that the film's storyline would be a fusion of Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow. Is that what you're
Ender's Shadow, that's it.
Okay.
What did I say? Shadow of the Dead, I think.
Is that a different one?
Yeah, because he's got, no, I don't know. He's got Speaker of the Dead, Shadow Puppet, Shadow, whatever you said, Ender's Shadow.
Ender's Shadow.
Yeah, okay, Ender's Shadow, that's right. Yeah, so I guess that's where the move to make Bean...
Here we go. I got you. In October of 2013, Card explained that this buddy movie approach between Ender and Bean was a proof of concept. Full stop. And once Hood took over, he decided to use Petra as a more major character.
Oh my god.
So we can 100% blame Gavin Hood for ruining. No, I mean I ain't ruining, just making a shitty movie. Source material aside, you know, he made just a terrible movie.
Yes. Oh my god. Yeah. I know that there was a lot of controversy with when the movie was coming out because
I had no idea about this, man. I didn't know this ran this deep.
Yes. Oh my god. And wait till you hear what I'm about to tell you.
It's such a bad movie that you're just like, it must have, must have not had a fan base, must have not had any hype, nothing, but this is like a long time coming, and they really just
wait until...
what do you got?
So right before the movie was about to release, there was a lot of controversy with Card, and he was basically saying some homophobic stuff. So these
oh my god, what year?
2013, I guess. When did he announce the movie? 2009, around that time, 2010 maybe. So he said some homophobic stuff about the states should have rights to ban like homosexual stuff in books.
Wait, what?
Yeah, which he later retracted and said, okay.
Wait, was that out of context or something?
I don't know. I read it in a article. I didn't hear it from him. I didn't see the straight source of how he said it. Could have been taken out of context completely. And he later came out with a statement saying, no, not really what I meant. I just, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, that must have been out of context.
But there were several instances where he said some other things that people are like, did you say that first one out of context? I don't know. So, a lot of activists. J.K.
Rowling treatment.
Yeah.
And J.K. Rowling didn't say anything.
I mean, this dude published some stuff. So I don't know. I haven't read it. Like I said,
I gotta go find that.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting.
So all these activists, activist groups were like boycotting the movie. Don't go see it. Don't go watch Ender's Game. Like, it was crazy. So I don't know how much of an effect that had on the movie itself. I know it did awful. I don't know how awful.
It didn't. Unfortunately for the activists, I guess.
Oh, okay.
That stuff doesn't work on the global scale.
And I don't know exactly how this works, but apparently they weren't gonna give Card any profits.
Wow.
From the movie. It was just, here's your straight up one-time money thing, and then done.
Yep. Well, he signed that.
Which
you get an option here in the States.
Well, that kind of appeased some of the protesters that okay, whatever. Yeah. But what's funny is that the movie kind of sparked some of the book, so people went out and bought the books, and that increased his book sales. So he still made kind of some money in that sense.
A lot of money on that.
But I just thought it was crazy how this is so intertwined, and the movie's still shitty. Like
the movie's still shit.
So one of the biggest themes in this book is about being a kid and being a smart kid. So kind of which I think is why my teacher made us read it. Miss Stanley, I always talk about her. She's one of the best teachers I've ever had in my life. So I think her giving us this book to gifted kids, she thought that it would speak to us.
Yeah, I respect the hell out of that because there's this real deep philosophy, and that some pieces of art are really special to, you know, at a certain time in your life. And, you know, like if I was to go back and read it, it probably, I would have totally had missed out on that being the right age at the right time to
That
experience
feeling.
something like this, kind of like Harry Potter and stuff probably too.
Yeah.
And some other, I'm sure there's all kinds of other stuff like that, but
Right.
there's really something really, really cool about that.
I mean, it's awesome. It's
kind of like another like analog to that might be being part of the zeitgeist of a release at whatever point. You know, you're like Elden Ring last year. I'm sure when I get around to playing Elden Ring, it won't be quite the same if I was there day one with the zeitgeist and the whole internet, you know, just going through this. It would have been a different experience.
Yeah, that was me with the Twilight movies. I went out, saw the Twilight movies, like, you know, night of, first people to see it, wearing my Team Jacob
Yeah, it's an
shirt.
experience.
It's an experience. It's awesome.
Yeah, and you miss some of that stuff. I think I definitely miss some of that stuff. We all do in some ways, probably.
Yeah. Well, it was an awesome experience reading that book right before going into this kind of program, feeling smart, feeling like you're Ender, basically. And I just hate that the movie just didn't give us any of that. It didn't give us Ender's giftedness. It didn't give us his, like, leadership skills. It, like, lacked all of that.
Yeah, the main thing I took away from Ender was he gets bullied in several scenarios. That's at the front of my mind when it comes to Ender, bullied kid.
Yeah, no. And then there was a line in the movie, and I think I wrote it down. Okay, he says, "Do you think they'll follow me?" I don't know who he said it to. He might have been talking to Graf. I don't know. He was talking to somebody. He's like, "Do you think they'll follow me?" Like, shut up. Ender is like this confident kid. He's never once thought, "Oh, do you think these people are going to follow me?" Like, no. Why are you making Ender doubt himself? He's a genius. Like, oh, it was gross. It was gross. It was just disheartening. I mean, it was, oh my God. Like, why make him say that? Why? It was just one line, too, that just broke all this, like, feelings for me. Like, why? And I don't know. It doesn't come off the way it should with his, like, skill level.
No, not at all. I would have never. He felt very just right timing, right place. He didn't feel like he was really all that original.
Yeah.
Everything felt, I guess, I mean, best way to probably angle this movie is everything feels forced.
That's a good way to put it. It feels forced. It feels like they just took some random lines from the book, like they flipped through it, stuck their finger and said, "Here, say this, kid." Like that's what it feels like.
Yeah, the kid sounds like, I don't know if you know what this means. You might, but it sounds like he was reading a cold read. He was doing a cold read.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
That's what it sounded like he was doing the whole time. I mean, and you know, kind of the same thing for Harrison Ford, but Harrison Ford plays himself like some characters, but so like he fits, you know, like his Indiana Jones or whatever. But
So how did you feel about the other actors?
I think Haley Steinfeld's pretty terrible in general, too.
Who is she?
Petra.
Yeah. No.
So she was not doing it for me. It was surprising to see Rico from Hannah Montana show up.
Rico, the 21-year-old kid.
Yeah, is his name Bonzo? Is that his name?
Bonzo.
He was probably the funnest character. You know, he had some personality.
Yeah.
Does he die like that in the book?
Okay, so that's one of the, points.
Did he die? They insinuated he died in the movie.
Yeah, he dies. Yeah. He dies in the book. So, because
Ender's like, is he gonna make it? And Graf's like, I think he's talking to Graf, and Graf's like, we're gonna send him home.
Yeah, which is what happens in the book. They never tell Ender that he killed him. And in the series, I guess if they got one thing right, it's him, Bonzo.
Really?
Because he's
interesting.
This awful kid, which we get that.
Did you like his actor? Did you like the performance? His attitude? Did he get all that right?
I think he did.
Yeah.
I think out of all the actors in there, I think he probably, got his role right.
He definitely stood out, I think. And that's not saying a lot, but just everyone was so fucking bad. Even Viola Davis was bad. Oh my god.
I know, and she's amazing. Well, at least in what I've seen her in.
No, Viola Davis is amazing.
I don't know if she's in something that she's bad in, but
I'm sure
Ender's
she's in some
Game
bad
is
movies.
it.
Everyone's got bad movies, but
she's got
especially Harrison Ford. But man, yeah.
Well, one thing I hate that just didn't give Bonzo the right character trait is that they made Ender so tall. He's this 5-year-old kid, and everyone in there is 11, is the age they're supposed to be. So Ender's supposed to be small. He's supposed to be,
And Bonzo was the smallest character.
And I know.
He had a lot of attitude, though.
He did. He made up for it.
Yeah.
Probably because he was probably a lot older than what they played him out to be.
Probably, yeah. I think he was one of those guys.
But either way, I mean, he fits.
Yeah.
He looks like he belongs there with the kids. And I don't know why they made Ender so tall. Like, really, you couldn't find a shorter kid that played just as bad?
They definitely could have. Yeah, I would love for it. God, every movie would be awesome to see the casting call and like the auditions and seeing that conversation, being that fly on the wall during those moments. Oh my god, dude, it'd be so interesting. That's probably top 3 coolest parts of seeing a movie come together.
Yeah,
you see some stuff come out. Like I think I've seen some Harry Potter auditions
I've seen some
and stuff
too.
Which is, it makes you, when you see movies like this, it makes you appreciate those early Harry Potter movies many, many more times because, Jesus, man, they got all those kids and, especially, Ron, Harry, Hermione, Malfoy, they're so good. Neville, they're so good. They're better when they're kids than when they're an adult.
Yeah.
Later, it's like, you got to appreciate the shit out of them.
Yeah.
How do they find them?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that was crazy task as well.
I mean, even, young Harry Potter in the Sorcerer's Stone could have played a better Ender than this kid.
Absolutely.
So if you can find that, you can,
you can find it.
You even mentioned the Stranger Things kids.
Yeah, Stranger Things kids are, they're surprisingly good.
So
they were the right age when this came out, I think, too, right? Could have gotten one of them.
Probably, yeah.
10 years ago, 9 years ago. They're about 20 now, right?
Yeah, I think Millie Bobby Brown's like 18.
Yeah,
19.
I could definitely see one of them playing. We should have got Millie Bobby Brown to play Ender.
Would have been just as good. They're kids. And also, okay, one thing that was in the movie that brings up a topic is, Viola Davis being Anderson. In the book, Anderson is a guy. All the teachers are guys.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. All the kids are pretty much guys. There's no girls except Petra, which is why she stands out so much. But in the movie, they did bring other kids, other girls. So I don't know. I don't know if it made sense for them to do that, if it even matters, like you said.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it mattered.
Books, but
although Viola Davis was hardly a character in this.
Yeah.
She was just there in the background.
That's true. And Anderson is in the background in the book too. He's not really important. But in the books, you have all these boys, so they kind of talk like boys, like 12-year-old boys, but they're all really smart, so they kind of talk like 12-year-old or, young boys pretending to be men. And, they're all like walking around naked. They're all like insulting each other like you kind of have in, like military movies. I've never been around.
Your locker banter.
Yeah. So I guess some of that is missed.
For sure. Yeah, that's definitely kind of a trope you see in like military barracks.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was nowhere to be seen here. I guess that I could see that coming off a little
it's
weird on the screen with kids doing that, but
right.
I don't know.
But
if you do a good enough job kind of painting the picture, you can make anything happen and not be that strange.
Yeah.
It's you can make it fit, but there are a billion other things going wrong in this movie for
for that to
That would have been funny if they went down that route here. That would have.
Because it's like I said, it's not a big thing in the books.
But it builds texture to
But
like what
it does.
what's happening on the ship.
He built this book based off of his brother's military background.
Yeah.
So you kind of want that military-ness in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's just shocking to hear that this was at its core inspired by anything military related.
Yeah.
So it's because it just seems like someone who's never played a video game or read a book or watched other movies or great movies, I should say.
Well, you mentioned video games, and that's also a big thing in the book. The games, the battles themselves, the simulations, the VR type thing, the giant thing that Ender does. That's probably one of the best parts in the books.
They should have
they demolished it.
Yeah. They could have just reskinned an actual great strategy game or something, Take Civilization and just kind of, fit it. You just make it all CG. You don't need to actually be able to play the game or anything, but, just kind of take the form factor of it and put your little ant dudes in there and, build out the scenario like you need to, like, chess style and, boom, you got it. I don't even know what I'm looking at when I see those simulations. They're just totally totally I can't read it,
Yeah.
What's that word?
Illegible. Yeah.
I'll try to put another syllable in there.
Illegible.
And especially that one where he had on his tablet, it was just like, what is this? Is this
a
game?
The giant game. Yes.
What is that? That's not a game.
So the giant game, and I have no idea what the movie was trying to tell us about the giant game. But in the series, the giant game is this like taboo game. Kind of like on your iPad, you have different types of games. You have Angry Bird, you have Sudoku puzzles, I don't know. But the giant game is one of those games that no kid plays because it's stupid. You have a giant.
So what is it? A test of how bored you are? I'm so bored. I guess I'll play this game.
I'll play the giant game. So the giant game is, you have two options. Option A, option B. They're both drinks. You drink one, something nasty happens to you. You're not supposed to win the giant game. You're not supposed to figure it out in some sense. Like that's what they're trying to portray here. Like you drink the first potion, you get poisoned. You drink the other one, you get shot. I don't know. Just different ways of dying and just different ways of dying. Which they don't even show that in the movie. He just falls over and dies like the little rat. He is a rat.
Oh, he is a rat?
Yeah, he is a rat. So in both the book and the movie, Ender is like so frustrated that he's not winning. And that's what they're building him as. They're building him as this winning machine. We need Ender to win. There's no one else. So we need him to win. So it's kind of a game to test how bad can Ender win? Like how badly does he want to win? And he destroys the giant. He kills him, which no kid's ever done that before in the simulation game. So that's supposed to be a big, oh wow, he is smart. He is willing to kill whatever to win. And he kills the giant and then goes off and explores. And he meets this wolf children and he figures out how to kill them. And I mean, it's like a bunch of adventures in that series or in that game. And it eventually comes down to it playing mind games with him. And all the teachers are confused because they watch what he plays. So all the teachers are confused on why this game is playing mind games on Ender. Like, what the fuck? And like I said, no kid's ever gone this far before, so they have no idea what to take from it. So they're really confused. So in that game, he comes to a mirror and, he sees himself. He sees Peter, his brother, who, they don't have the best relationship. And he sees Valentine. And then he's like this game is just messing with him in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell that was Valentine. In the game.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus, why not put Valentine there? It's a simulation. Like, You're in a sci-fi world. You can put her in there and not look weird.
Yeah. Games didn't look that bad in 2013. Real games. You can.
So one of the biggest like reveals in the movie is at the end where there's still one egg out there.
Oh yeah.
So
well, also I thought a big reveal was that they somehow hacked the game. What are they called? The ants? What are the ant guys called?
The Formics, the buggers.
Formics. They hacked his game, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that was a big reveal.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Well, that's where I was getting to.
Oh, that's what you're getting to?
Yeah.
Let's go.
So he found the egg, and they hacked the game, made him see all the giant things, and they kind of. Wait, do they hack the game in the movie?
He said so.
He said it.
He said it, yeah.
Okay.
He was like, he made the connection, like, how do I, because, it started with, well, have we talked to them? Can we communicate with them? Started with that.
That's right. So in the book, he kills them all. And then there's this big fight on Earth, which that's a whole nother point. But there's this big fight on Earth. And Peter, his brother, is actually like taken over.
Taken over what?
On Earth. He's like the big dude. Head honcho. I don't know exactly his title. I'd have to look in it. But
he's not the stay-at-home brother?
No. There's this like side story to Ender's Game. It's Peter and Valentine. So Peter and Valentine are also geniuses. Which we get none of that. Yeah.
They don't have time for it. If just they made all these sacrifices. And they just should have settled on, maybe we can't do this movie. It's
important to the series, so if you wanted a sequel, you had to do that. But anyway.
Yeah, they did not. Who let this happen? Who let this happen?
That's what I'm saying.
Who let this happen?
I'm saying. So, Valentine and Peter, they're geniuses. The only reason they didn't get to go on is because Peter is he's ruthless. He's a killer. He's awful. He's just this awful human being. And you can't have that when you need someone to save the world. You need someone that's a little bit more compassionate, that cares for humanity enough to save the world. Well, then you have Valentine, who is too compassionate. She's too sweet. Hella smart, too sweet. So you need someone that has that kind of like ruthlessness, because you have to kill the enemy. So they wanted, that in between, and that's where Ender comes in, because they did mention it in the movie, I think, that there's a no third child law. So that's why Ender is the third. That's his unofficial title. He's the third. You can't have more than 2 kids. But they got permission to have Ender. And I mean, since Ender's like conception, the battle school owns him. I forgot what they're called, but they own him from then. So Ender's is there. He never had a choice to either go or not go. He was being built exactly for this. So in Peter and Valentine's, side story, Peter's trying to like build power to kind of take over the world. And they do that through pseudonames like Locke and is it Demosthenes? However you pronounce that dude's name.
Who is Mazer Rackham?
Demosthenes? Mazer Rackham is the old dude with the tattoos on his face that saved them from the first war or the second invasion, I guess.
It says here card wanted Will Smith to play him.
Demosthenes, the Greek. So yeah, they go under these pseudonames, Locke and Demosthenes, and they just try to get people talking about certain laws and kind of a Soviet Union thing. I don't know. It's a lot going on there that they don't talk about in the movie at all. And what was my point? Oh, so when the battle, or when, Ender kills the buggers and everything ends, Peter wants him back home, because Peter wants this, like, Ender is now the number 1 killing machine. Everybody wants him to run their military. Like, he's, a popular guy that everyone wants. And Peter wants him. But Peter is so mean to him that Valentine is like, no, you're not getting Ender. we're going somewhere else. We're going to take the next ship and go live in a different colony in space. Do they have that in the movie?
No.
Okay.
I think they mention maybe multiple colonies in space, but they don't show it or anything.
Okay, so Ender and Valentine go to another colony, and that's when one of the other books starts, basically. But while they're exploring this colony, Ender's right now exploring what's safe, what's not safe, and he comes across this weird looking thing, and he's like, wait a minute, I've seen that. And he goes towards it, and it's the giant dead. And he's like, what? That was the game, you know? And then he sees the playground and all these other things that we didn't see in the movie. And he's like, what is going on? So he explores some more, finds the egg then, and then like he just kind of holds it and realizes, oh, they're communicating with me. They've been communicating with me the whole time. Or they saw me and now they're trying to communicate here. Like,
how do you make that connection in the movie? Oh, he saw them. I think he straight up saw them in his game.
That's right. Yeah, he never sees them in the game. I don't think so.
That's right.
Unless I missed that. But yeah, so that's how they made that, which I don't know, why can't you keep that? Why can't you keep that in the movie? I just don't understand. There's so many things going on here that I don't understand. I mean, we don't get any of that trio of Valentine, Ender, and Peter. The love, destruction, empathy, I don't know, kind of thing.
Peter just tries to beat the shit out of him in the beginning of the movie.
And that's it. Like, that's it.
He's just a stereotypic bully of a brother.
Yeah.
Who's jealous of him, too.
Yeah. Oh, he's mega jealous. Peter is mega jealous of Ender. And then another thing that I don't think... Well, I think it does capture it, actually, because you said your mom talked on this, is the manipulation.
I mean, it's not performed well, but...
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of a cool concept.
They're saying it. They're not letting you catch on. They're not letting you interpret. They're not letting you have that moment.
Yeah, it's just tacked on to the end, and they don't really have enough time left to let you figure it out.
Right.
Because nothing else really makes sense. I guess the movie makes sense, but it's just everything's just so forced. Everything's either
it's forced. Yeah.
Everything's super forced. Probably the most forced movie I've ever seen, or at least as of late.
Yeah, I mean the battles themselves are lame.
The battles suck.
Not like the book at all. The characters themselves.
The most interesting part of the filmmaking was that when they were in the battle room, they against Rico and his crew, they did that formation and they went through and they were getting zapped, and then he went straight into the hole, and he did that at the very end too. That was probably the most interesting technique in filmmaking that happened in this movie. And that's like, I guess that's a type of foreshadowing, but that's just like a standard tropey device of filmmaking. It's like okay.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, dude. Even the CG was bad. Oh my god, there were a couple scenes when they were in the battle room. There was just so much bad stuff happening in the battle room. Where I think it was Petra and him. Were Petra and him there? Just them two? Were they in the battle room at one point?
Yeah. That's stupid because Petra's never in the battle with him.
That CG was so bad. I could not believe what I was looking at. I mean, there's a lot of bad CG moments in this, but I guess at least the bad CG with the fighting in space it's all CG, so there's not a lot of human face on CG. Like that's like, I guess that's the not uncanny, but the jarring kind of like, oh no. But just bad CG being the whole screen, all of a sudden this was kind of like a game, and it's much more excusable. Is Ender upset about wiping out the whole species?
Yes.
Like he was in the movie?
Yes.
I was wondering about that. I was wondering what they did there.
Well, yeah, that's one of the points I'm trying to make, that the manipulation of these adults and authority figures, and he just felt completely manipulated.
Are there points with other characters where they're like suspicious of, like, are we like actually hurting someone while we do these simulations and stuff?
Bean
figures it out, kind of.
Bean figures it out, yeah, because Bean's like, he's even smarter than Ender.
Yeah,
he's just lacking something that Ender has that he didn't. That was
the leadership, maybe.
Yeah, well, I don't know. The leadership, probably. You can't compare anything to that movie. They all suck.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say, well, he wasn't really a leader, but neither was Ender.
Yeah, when they all start following Ender, those 2 or 3 times where it happens, you're just like, what? Why are they following Ender? What did he do to impress anyone?
Yeah.
Why is the bully all of a sudden? Why was it? I mean, first of all, when he first showed up, everyone was kind of bullying Ender, as kids do.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, the bully's like the bully. What's his name? Bernard. He's like alienated, and then he immediately switches sides. The next scene.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
After that scene with Viola Davis. Was it with Viola Davis?
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's probably one of the worst things they did in this movie. Why did you put Bernard on Ender's side? Why? He was a bully from the beginning. In the middle, they kind of formed this alliance like, okay, you do you, I'm gonna do me. We leave each other alone. We have a common friend, which was a lie. And then that's it. And then when Bonzo gangs up on Ender in the bathroom, Bernard is there, trying to hold Ender down. Like, Bernard.
Wow.
Wait, is he there? No. He's there in the... Now I'm getting it confused. I think he is there. I don't know, but he's a bully. He's a bully the whole time. A small period of time where he's not a bully directly towards Ender, and then he's a bully. And now he's all of a sudden... in Ender's group.
He's like part of the main group.
Yeah. These are supposed to be the best, smartest kids, and you're putting Bernard in there?
Fucking idiot. Why is he there? He said that it was kind of a combination of Ender's Game and Ender's Shadow. Ender's Shadow is the Bean's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Just the presence of Bean doesn't give us his perspective.
No.
That's not how that works.
It's not how it works.
Not that, that's just what Card maybe wanted in one of his scripts, and then of course Gavin Hood was
He's like, all right, you want Bean in there? Got it.
Bean got it. Compromise, done. Any other concessions? Don't let him fuck Petra. All right, don't fuck Petra. Got it. Off camera.
No, the movie was just a flop. It was awful. Was
it commercially a flop though? Let's see. Ender's Game was the #1 film in North America during its opening weekend, that doesn't mean anything, so don't get too crazy. You know what I'm saying? Earning $27 million. The film would go on to ultimately gross $61.7 domestically. Whoa, okay, and $63.8 internationally. A grand total of $127.9 million.
Wow.
The film lost a projected $68 million for the studio, and okay, that's nothing. So they looks like they may have made a little bit of money.
I mean, they could have made so much more if they made it a good movie.
It has a Rotten Tomatoes approval score of 62, which is like relatively high for Rotten Tomatoes. I can't fucking believe that. I cannot believe that.
You think people are like, oh, that's a good book, so it has to be a good movie. They watch it. They're like, that's kind of like the book, and then they give it a good review. Are they secretly reviewing the book here? Like, what's going on?
Sure, on one level, I think it's probably just the love of the book kind of giving them those rose-colored glasses or whatever type thing.
Because this book it's loved. It was in the top whatever, what's it called? The top billboard. What's it called?
The top 100 billboard for books.
Yeah, that one. I think.
I don't know what it's called, but that would be funny if it is. Billboard is for music.
I mean,
it might be for books too. That's funny. For books? I don't know.
I don't know where I read it, that it was like.
I'm sure
in the top for always... 52 consecutive weeks, and then it's, gifted teachers like mine were making it a curriculum or putting it in their curriculum for students to read. And then a lot of military was making this a book.
Mandatory read?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I didn't know they could read in the military.
Well, that's why they give them a kid's book.
LOL. That's funny. Peter DeBruge of Variety magazine called it an impressive, thought-provoking astro adventure that benefits from the biggest screen available. That doesn't mean anything.
What?
That doesn't mean anything. Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times praised the stunning and gorgeous visuals.
No.
Covering every inch of the screen. What? Have you ever seen a movie Richard Roper.
Is he illegally blind? Maybe he's got what's that thing called?
Astigmatism.
Well, I was gonna say where you see the wrong color. What the fuck is that called? Colorblind.
Yeah,
Maybe he's colorblind. Enhances movies.
It describes the film as a challenging adventure that should satisfy most young fans of the book while keeping the adults engrossed as well.
It kept me grossed, that's for sure.
I was grossed out too. Stunning and gorgeous visuals in 2013. Are you joking me? We had that early Marvel? Are you joking me?
Mm-hmm.
How are you gonna say something? I mean, Marvel's not, their CG is pretty questionable today, but man, and I mean, another great, I think same year was Godzilla. Didn't Godzilla come out 2013 or 14? Right around that time.
Well, shit, I don't know.
Well, I mean, are you joking me? What else did these bozos say? Mark Bernardin of The Hollywood Reporter is critical of the lack of empathy and shallowness of the story. There we go.
Hey.
If only director Gavin Hood's movie had been tempered with craft and care. I like this guy.
I like him.
And wasn't such a blunt instrument. One that seems designed as a delivery system for CGI daring do. What is that? Deering? D-E-R-R-I-N-G do.
Daring do?
I don't know what that means.
Okay.
CGI daring do. Instead of the heartbreaker it should have been. It should be, I should say, at this time. Bernardin notes that the zero-gravity battle scenes might have seemed to be unfilmable. Sure. Hard to do, for sure. When did Gravity, the movie, come out, though? Look that up.
Gravity?
Yeah, with Sandra Bullock.
It's daring
oh my god, it's referenced right here.
Oh.
And he commends the special effects. Maybe.
No.
Maybe in some ways.
What?
Maybe.
The laser gun? What? You
maybe.
haven't been a laser tag?
Maybe the laser gun. I'm not sure. But says the film was unlucky to have come out so soon after Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity, which did it far better. Of course, because that's an actually competent
It came out
film.
after that?
Alfonso, isn't that the guy from, didn't he direct the third Harry Potter?
I don't know. Did Ender's Game come out after?
Yeah, says it here.
So they couldn't learn from it real quick?
No way. Yeah, no way. Would have had to been at least a year to 18 months before.
And you said it was after.
Ender's Game. Oh, yeah. How much, when did I say, let's see how close in proximity we need the release date for Gravity was in the U.S. October 4th.
What year?
2013.
Oh, okay. Then no, never mind. You didn't say the year, and if you did, I didn't hear you.
Let's continue. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian called the film pacey and visually pleasing despite an overload of ideas. I don't know, man.
I wasn't overloaded by anything.
Yeah, I was overloaded by gross CG.
And
Bradshaw
bad
concludes,
acting.
Yeah. That was worse than the CG. Who I mean, acting's a very tough job. Arguably the toughest
not
job.
Not to my 9-year-old niece.
Not to your 9, yeah.
No. She said, acting, you just go up there and act.
You
and
look
you
pretty,
get money.
you act,
Yep.
you say your lines, and you're good.
Hard?
You're good. No, acting is arguably the most difficult. It depends, you can look at it in so many ways, but very easily, arguably, one of the most difficult parts of filmmaking, for sure. Underappreciated. I think most people appreciate it, though. Do they?
I think so.
Yeah, I would think so, too, because, you're manipulating your mind, or at least you should, as an actor who has integrity and is of an intellect quality, right?
Acting? An actor who's acting?
An actor who's acting should, on one level, manipulate their mind to the point where they become a different person. The person they're trying to act as.
Yes.
Right? And sure, you get these, I guess the craziest technique people like to always bring up is method acting, where you never leave character.
Mm-hmm. Which
we're getting a great example of some of that with a movie that's coming out soon, Renfield with Nick Cage. Apparently, when he was on set, 100% of the time was always in character. Now, there are some characters who, even offset, never leave actor. Never break
role.
Never break their role. Like Jim Carrey, when he was doing when he was acting as Andy Kaufman, and what's that movie called? I can't remember the name of the movie. You know it?
What's at the tip of my tongue?
Over the Moon? No, that's an
No.
animated film. I think it's got Moon in the title. Do you know it?
No. I feel like I do. I feel like it's in the tip of my tongue.
He never left character, and that was like there's a documentary about him not leaving character. It's probably my favorite documentary.
That's cool.
Just because Jim Carrey is so interesting. I don't love his performances, but he's a very interesting cat. So Bradshaw concludes, the movie's apocalyptic finale indicates that it's bitten off considerably more than it can chew in terms of ideas, but it looks good and the story rattles along. I don't know. And here we go. This is a quote from the website I was telling you about a minute ago with Roger Ebert. Simon Abrams of Roger Ebert says the movie is ... way too kind, and the drama suffers greatly for it. The film's biggest problem is a matter of tone and characterization, which I think is...
okay.
Which, I mean, I think that's yes, but because of the piss-poor performances.
Mm-hmm.
The characters constantly talk about how mean they can be, but their actions suggest otherwise.
Bonzo trying to get Ender while he's taking a shower. Pretty mean. But no, I mean, yeah.
Oh, I like this. Joe Newmere of the New York Daily News gave the film 0 stars and called it one of the dumbest, most tedious movies this year. It makes Battlefield Earth and John Carter look like Godfather Parts 1 and 2. And he also says Dune, and I assume he means the David Lynch Dune, looks like Lawrence of Arabia next to this thing. Which is awesome. Which I guess is fitting. I guess that's fitting because Dune is also of, it's one of those just mega iconic sci-fi series that hasn't been done justice, I guess, until recently, which I'm not crazy about. I guess
if you call that justice.
I mean, visually though,
yes.
My God, those movies are fucking nuts. Yes. But I'm just not crazy to think about the story proper. Visually, oh my God, that dude needs to, what's his name, Denis Villeneuve or something like that?
No clue.
He needs to be consulting everyone who's doing anything CG VFX.
Yep.
Ever. This man needs
an organization.
An organization that follows under. He needs a school of thought on how to fucking animate or how to do CG.
Yeah, so this movie didn't get the kids right. It didn't get even the cliques of kids. You're putting kids where they shouldn't be. I mean, it's, you have all the gender, which I don't know. That kind of did make me feel like, why are you making Anderson a girl? It doesn't matter.
Carr thought about making Ender a girl.
Oh, okay. In the film or in the book? In the film. I mean, I guess like you said, it's a sci-fi trope that gender doesn't matter. So
yeah,
it's just
normally sex, but we had to compromise with Petra stalking him. You'll like this. In November 2013, Aramis Knight, Bean, who played Bean, said a script for Ender's Shadow existed. And Gavin Hood wanted to produce the film and direct the film concurrently to Ender's Game. But there wasn't enough money. Surprise, surprise.
Good.
And then he said if there was going to be another one after that, it would have been Children of the Fleet. Wow. So they that makes everything we've said worse. They anticipated a future for Ender's Game. Gavin Hood needs to lose his directing license.
Yeah, he fucked it up for everybody. For me, really.
Wow. And I'm sure budget, cut in, sure. How much was the budget? It was $63 million or whatever. Not a big budget for something like this, but make it smaller. Make Ender's Game Part 1 and Part 2. What's we got to slim down the scope. We got to have some confidence in what we're about to make, We're going to do Part 1, and if Part 2 never comes out cuz it wouldn't have been any different than the worst case scenario where the movie doesn't make any money, which this one really didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hate it for you.
Yeah.
I hate it for you. I hate it for myself.
It's falling in the right path of science fiction books are amazing. They're awesome. The movies are
They're hard to do.
they're
apparently.
awful. Sci-fi movies are awful. I don't like watching sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
I don't. They don't do any of the books justice. They don't do any of the genre justice. I haven't seen a good sci-fi movie.
We'll have to watch Star Wars.
Is that even sci-fi?
Well,
That's fantasy, my friend.
it's very political and religious. So kind of. I don't know where you'd fit it. It feels more fantasy, even though it's in space, like we're in multiple places in space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but I was gonna say we might be on the upswing with sci-fi. You know, Dune is no doubt.
I fell asleep during Dune.
I mean, that's okay. That's fine. But it is no doubt the strongest outing in, like, as a movie from, you know, a classic sci-fi book. Can you imagine what sci-fi is gonna look like in 20 more years? It's gonna take a little while.
I can't.
We've been clawing at this, and I guess there's a bunch of sci-fi people like, right? And I just don't get it, like
what?
Like Star Trek. I don't think people like Star Trek for its sci-fi elements. I think they like it for the proceduralness of it, but I'm not sure. I don't not like the kind of cartoon.
But Star Trek as a movie?
No, a show. I mean,
okay.
The movies were pretty big though too. The 2 recent movies.
Okay. Because I think that helps making a show, something that should be a show, making it a show.
Yeah, and I think we're on the upswing of that too. I think people are realizing that shows can be just as powerful as movies, and you can put just as much money in it, and you'll get just as just the right amount of returns too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hope it's leaning that way. I hope these companies are making money off their shows, because that means we'll get more of them, and it seems like that's the best way to serve most stuff.
Yes.
Because I think cinema can be dramatic. Of course, it can be, we can have these cinematic, experiences. But I think the experience itself is like what's really special about movies. And I don't think the story of Ender's Game is an experience that fits the big screen like a David Lynch movie, where you watch it and it's just a powerful, weird thing. Not that all cinema needs to be weird, but it needs to
make you feel something.
It needs to be self-contained, I think, on one level. And, sure, we have a lot of success with franchises in other corners with Harry Potter. For the most part, each movie is kind of self-contained.
Right.
And the Marvel movies, of course, they're super self-contained. They're completely the standoffs, the one-alones, or the one-offs are, or I guess they are micro-series too. They are. I
guess they're also adapted from comic books.
Yeah, I don't know to what degree. Yeah.
I mean, there's been,
which is probably a little easier, I would guess, than a novel, because there's just less texture. There's less immediate lore, Ender's Game requires probably the Game of Thrones treatment, like you said. And at the very least, the Harry Potter treatment, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw someone try again. What if Denis Villeneuve, or whatever his name is, doing Dune, was, he gets done with Dune. I don't know how many movies that's going to be, but he's like, all right, we're going to do Ender's Game.
Yeah, I don't know.
Might be a big deal.
Like I said, I fell asleep with Dune, so
yeah,
no clue.
Yeah, it was boring. The whole spice thing and the big worm, it's just like, okay. It looks cool, but, it's okay. I did watch this little documentary on how they came up with the little dragonfly ships. Very cool. Very cool.
Don't know. Fell asleep. Can't remember anything besides Timothée Chalamet and
sticking his hand in the thing.
Eyes. No, just him. Not even anything he did.
That's funny.
There's been several times where franchises have been killed by a shitty movie.
Yeah.
Like, Aragon. One of my favorites.
I've never even seen that movie.
Yeah, that's gonna be in one of our.
That's that's a teaser. That's a tease for an upcoming video. Podcast.
Yep. Teaser for the.
I can't wait to watch that movie.
If you thought this was bad, actually no.
Maybe we should just do a series where we watch terrible movies.
I mean that's
what this is.
That's what we watch every time.
With the exception of Shrek.
We watch awful movies, especially every time you make me watch an A24 film.
Oh wow,
God.
Hot take.
Sometimes you have to, we have a month break before the next A24 film.
There's some rough ones.
There's some rough
A24 movies.
I mean,
I can't remember the most recent one, but I started watching the David Foster Wallace one again. I think it's called The Last Tour.
I saw that.
Yeah, you saw that years ago.
With the guy who plays Marshall in How I Met
Yeah.
Your Mother. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I like that one.
yeah, Jesse Eisenberg too.
Mhm. Yeah, I just remember we were on a really bad streak there for bad movies. I didn't even want to watch another movie. It's when we watched Men and
Men's rough.
Yeah, I don't know what else we watched before that.
Men's probably the worst.
And it was rough.
A24 film.
And I was like, nope, I need a break.
I was shocked how bad that was. And she's great a lot of times. I like her. She's great in Chernobyl. She's not a super major character in Chernobyl. Oh my god, dude. That show's top to bottom. That show's awesome. That's a limited series. That's a micro series. Mini series.
What's a mini series? Chernobyl? Limited series? Mini series.
Same thing.
Okay. Yep, definitely doing Aragon soon.
What if I told you Ender's Game was nominated at the Oscars?
I would not believe you.
Okay, yeah, that's a lie.
Okay, good. I would say, what? No way.
If Bohemian Rhapsody can win something, anything's fair game.
I don't know, man. This was a fucking...
No, this was
awful.
This was a shit show. I can't believe this movie got made. I can't believe $60 million went into this movie. Just give that to me and I'll live my fucking life. All right?
Give it to me and I'll make you a better movie with,
I can make a better movie than this.
Acting. Like,
that'd be kind of cool.
Jesus Christ.
That'd be kind of cool. I can make a better movie than this for $5 million. The Whale, you know how much it costs?
How much? I mean, shit, just take Saw.
I think Saw cost $10,000.
Yeah. You can do that with Saw.
The Whale had a budget of $3 million.
Wow.
$3 million.
Holy crap.
And The Whale is an exceptionally made movie. It's exceptionally well made. I don't know how this happened. 60, I don't get it.
Yeah.
The more I learn about filmmaking, the more we learn about it, maybe we can come back and be like, oh, okay, we can be a little empathetic to what was going on here. But it seems like these keys were given to, like it's like trying to get your 2-year-old to make you a cake or something. It's like the batter doesn't even end up in the bowl,
Mm-hmm.
It's all kinds of fucked up. There's just no way of cutting it. Thank you for telling me about the book at the very least. I might have to read this now or listen to
it. You can read it. It's right here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just to wrap up, bad actors. A lot of calls made, creative calls that shouldn't have been done, that are just, they're small things, but why couldn't you? Well, some of them are small things. Like, why couldn't you just make them be? Like, yeah. Ender, or Ender's mom calling him Ender. Like, one thing in the book is that she's the only one that didn't call him Ender. She called him Andrew. And then here you are saying Ender's name is Andrew Ender Wiggin. No, Ender's his nickname. Like, Ender is not a middle name. Like, clearly shows you didn't even read at least the first fucking page of the book.
She does call him Ender.
And, I mean, character change. You don't have Valentine. You don't have Peter. You fuck up Ender and Bean's relationship by throwing Petra in there somehow. And, I mean, you ruin any possibility for a future for this book. And in the series, actually, Bean and Petra end up together.
Wow.
And they have babies.
And
Bean becomes, like, this giant. Like, literally giant. He's growing and won't stop growing. And some of his babies are growing and won't stop growing. And they have this gene that's called, like, the Anton gene or something. And, I mean, it's an awesome series. That could be an awesome adaptation. Wow. But it's not. And just a lot of how I pictured this book. Because when I read, and I'm sure a lot of people do, you picture it in your head as you're reading. You're watching it in your head, and it didn't come relatively close to what I watched in my head whatsoever.
No, they took all these familiar things and shit on them.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could have gotten something a little better if Orson Scott Card came at it from the angle of doing a part 1, part 2. He wrote the script for part 1 of the movie and was like, this was, I wonder if it kind of started with him having you know, that being one of the things that he demanded was like the first book needs to be the movie.
If they didn't have another, well, I was going to say another actor, but several of those actors suck. So I think that should be the main thing. They should have focused on the actors. The kid actor, your main dude, your ender. Spend some time looking for him. You took 10 years trying to get this to be a film.
Yeah.
You had time to look for this exceptional kid that would have made this book happen for My Little Heart.
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like they tried.
Nope.
Doesn't even feel like they tried.
Mm-mm.
Oh, man. Well, this is our working title, Books versus Movies series.
Maybe we could do like books versus movies and then have in that little bell, the wrestling bell. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, that one. I don't know. That just popped in my head.
Thank you for listening to my new favorite sub-series that we're doing. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmistines. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed our discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives on the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching and keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmistines signing off.